This example is going to show us what happens when we remove elements from an array list using an incrementing loop. Suppose we have an array list named nums. We've got a for loop that starts at 0 and continues as long as you're less than the size of nums. We're just going to remove each element at I. So here's our sample array. Let's see what happens when we run this for loop. We start at index 0. We immediately test, is 0 less than the size of the array, which is 7, and that is true. So we go into the for loop and we start removing the element at index 0. Once it's gone, everything can slide over to the left. The size of the array is now smaller. We are done with the for loop, so we increment our index. So our index is now at 1. And is 1 less than the size of the array? That is true. So we go into the for loop and we remove the element at 1. Everything slides over. The array is now smaller. We increment our variable. We test to see, are we still less than the size of the array? Yes, we are. That's true. So we go in and we remove element at index 2. Everything slides over. The array has shrunk even more. We increment our variable. We test, is 3 less than 4? Yes, it is. So we start removing the index element at index 3. Array is smaller. We increment our variable because we reached the end of the for loop. We test, is 4 less than 3? That's false, so we know we're done. Now let's compare the final array with the original array to see exactly what happened. Here's my original array. I notice that 9 remains, this element 5 remains, and the 7 remains. The element at index 0 and index 2 and index 4 and index 6 have been eliminated. So the elements that are at the odd indices are still there. The elements that started at the even indices were removed. Every other element was removed. And I'm not sure this is what we intended. So the conclusion is that incrementing loops should not be used to remove elements from an array list unless you intended to remove every other element. Our next video will demonstrate a better way to remove elements.